Yeah, I remember. All right.
It's 1:00.
It's 1:00. So Leo, what up?
What's up, Voltaire?
Much, man. Not much. There's gonna be some people logging in right now. It's because I just learned something new on Zoom is that we can't stack appointments back to back on the same Zoom account because it doesn't allow people to jump in or whatnot.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So in case on your Zoom account, you should just stack your appointments up like maybe with little 15-minute differences on time, maybe 10 minutes.
All right, cool.
All right, cool. So we have a few people right now. Just give it a few minutes. Been working out of your house, or were you working out of Leo?
Yeah, my pad.
Oh yeah. Oh. You going to the office at all?
No, not really, dude. It's kind of funny. It makes you think like I don't really need the office after a while.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's actually, I feel like lenders all these years, they've had they're able to push out a bunch of deals because they don't have to go anywhere. They don't have to drive anywhere. They don't have to do much. They're just working out of their computer in their office. And where us as realtors, we would have to drive all around town, show property, and meet people at their houses and stuff like that. So I think this new thing that we're all experiencing right now is we're able to see how much more deals we could do and how much more efficient we could be with the time that we have just working from Zoom.
Yeah. So Warren Buffett questioned the necessity of offices recently.
Yeah, I saw that. Office and retail. Yeah, so they're going to take a big hit. So whoever invested in WeWork and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it's good. Good stuff. Yeah, good luck. So cool. I think we could get started here and just get right into it. 103. Cool. So hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Today is May 6th, 1:00, and we're going to be going over some very important stuff. The name of the workshop, I changed it to the No BS Proven Strategy to Grow Your Real Estate Business with Leo Gonzalez. And the reason why I renamed it is because Leo and I had a conversation a couple of days ago, and that's something that I've always, noticed and admired about Leo's approach to business is just to real estate is just no BS, and just getting the job done. So that's something really cool. So welcome, Leo. Thanks for being here today. And
oh, sure. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we definitely look forward to it. So real quickly, I'm just going to tell everybody about our relationship, how we met, and how we got introduced to a real estate business. So I was a real estate agent at Century 21, and sometime around 2005, I believe, one of my friends, Laura, reached out to me and said, hey, my brother's in real estate, and he's a new agent, and where he's at right now, I don't know if they're really, helping him out or teaching him everything he needs to know. Maybe he could talk to you and you could help him out. So I said, yeah, sure. And I talked to Leo And I said, "You, dude, come over here. We have like a bunch of training. There's like trainings like throughout the week, and
Yep.
they're really good. And at that time, we had like some really good trainers that were experienced and were, doing deals. Um, so then Leo came over to Century 21, started working there, and we always just did our own book of business. But then what I started noticing was um, when the market had crashed, right? So after 2007, so I mean, it was probably like 2000, um, between 2008 to 2012. What I really started noticing is, Leo and myself were one of the few agents at the office that were really like, in their grinding. I always noticed Leo; he was always just running around with buyers all over the place. I think during that time, taking advantage of the very low prices available and affordability
Right.
of the market. And I really didn't. I know that we're busy. I know we were like a couple of the top agents, just doing all these deals. And when we were, I think it was 2014, maybe 2000, somewhere in that range, when there were some rankings that came out. Top agents in South County. South County, let's say, had about 8,000 real estate agents, and I realized on that list, I ranked number 7th, and then Leo Gonzalez ranked number 2. And that's when I was like, oh shoot, Leo's been putting in work all these years. He just he doesn't, he wasn't doing listings, but he was just closing a bunch of buyers. So, and it just went from there. And then after that, it was just like year after year, just, top 1% in the county, just closing a bunch of deals. So, before we really get into it. So Leo, tell us, over these past several years, like, how many deals do you do on a yearly basis?
I'd say anywhere between 50, and I think at least for the last 5 years, I've been doing 50 plus. I think the most I did one year was 76, 75, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's
consistently about 50 plus for the last, I'd say, 5 years.
Yeah, so 75 deals, to do on your own it's just, I mean, it's incredible. And one thing we'll go into is, you're gonna really find out how much of a workhorse Leo is. I remember Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, I would walk into the office, and I'm talking about like early in the morning, 8 and some change in the morning on a weekend. And I was going in maybe because I had 1 or 2 things to do, maybe forgot something on my desk. But Leo was right there, just fully dressed, hair combed, and
Suit on.
yeah. And he was just, on the phone, just booking appointments to go, look at homes and meet with people. And I just remember thinking like, man, this guy works hard, and I need to get in here and just work just as hard. So that was pretty cool. So Leo, how's this coronavirus looking or treating your business? Like, what is it? What are you seeing out there right now with your business with this corona thing?
So initially, it shocked the market, right? Everybody was scared. They weren't sure if house prices were going to crash. They weren't sure if their houses were going to sell or just sit on the market. So I think I had about 4 cancellations, 4 escrows cancel right off the bat, understandably so. And what I thought at the moment was, you know what, these people are going to cancel, and they're going to come back in a few weeks if things haven't really changed. They're going to come back and relist, or they're going to come back and start shopping again. And that's exactly what happened. I'd say 3 weeks post quarantine, I started getting those calls. Hey, Leo, we're going to start shopping again. Is that house that we were in escrow still available? I'm like, no, it's gone, but let's continue to search. Got a call from sellers. Hey, Leo, let's hit the market. First week of May or second week of May. We have a couple listings coming up from those sellers that held off here this week or next week. So that's what I'm seeing. And really what's driving that, I feel, is the low interest rates. I mean, I did a video on this yesterday.
Okay.
It's on my Instagram, social media. Low interest rates, high demand, low supply, keeping values high. So I feel that if you're grinding, there's business to be done. There's going to be less deals done, but those deals are going to go to the people hustling, the people that have sound business practices.
Okay, yeah. So let's go into some of those business practices. So tell us, everybody kind of heard like an overall review of how we know each other and what I saw, but that was my perspective. So when you first got in the business, how was it, and what did you figure out that you had to do in order to, be successful? Was it like a certain online strategy, or was it a mail piece that you mailed out that got you all your business, or how did it work?
No, so when I got in the business, I didn't have any money. I was broke. I think I closed 2 deals, and then I quit my job. And
How old were you when you first got in the business?
I was 22.
Okay, cool.
22, 36 now. And I just listened to everything that my mentors told me to do. They said, Leo, here's a list of, at the time the market crashed, a lot of people were losing their houses. So they gave me a list of notice of defaults to call. And they said, call these people, they might want a short sale. So I just did exactly what they told me to do, spend hours on the phone, booking appointments, taking short sale listings. But I was very regimented. I had nothing else to do. I had no money to spend. So I just went in the office every single day, made calls probably from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then in the afternoon went on my appointments. And if I didn't have any appointments, I just went home, because that's exactly what they told me to do. If you don't have any appointments, just go home. But I had appointments because, when you're making calls for 8 hours a day, you're bound to have some appointments. So, and then I started holding open houses. And from those open houses, I started getting buyers. And the reason I started holding open houses was because all my short sales were foreclosing. None of them worked. So I started doing open houses, started getting buyers. They all foreclosed. I had like 20 something short sales foreclosed.
That's crazy.
I started getting buyers from the open houses. And then I started getting really busy with my buyers. So what I would do is I'd say I get 2 or 3 buyers. I'd take them out shopping. Buyers like to shop on the weekends. I would carry around my open house signs in my trunk. So as soon as I was done showing properties, I could find a vacant house and hold it open. Because what happened is the business goes up, it goes down if you stop prospecting. And at the time, open houses were the only type of prospecting that I could afford. So I stopped showing properties, 2 or 3 o'clock, held an open house till maybe about 6, and then did that again on Sunday, because Saturdays and Sundays is where I would get my clients. And then I realized, I can't be doing this. I can't hold open houses every day. What can I do in order to hold a house open or get these leads every single day? So I started posting ads on Craigslist, and started, generating leads that way. So that way it would seem like I would have leads coming in every single day from my Craigslist ads. At the time, there wasn't any Facebook or Instagram. But I found that, posting online ads at various different websites, Craigslist, or I forget other sites that I posted on. I think before you could post free on Zillow. I used to post Soraya's foreclosures on Zillow. She didn't know, but I did it. I don't think she even knew what Zillow was. And generated business that way. And then eventually took that money and started investing in online leads. And then over the years, built a book of business. Now we get a lot of referrals from our past clients.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, one thing that we all need to understand is the ads, over time, the only thing that changes is the medium where we place them, right? Just like 30 years ago, people would just place ads in the newspaper, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for sale, 400,000. And they would get calls from that. So during the time that Leo's describing, he was placing ads on Craigslist, and eventually it turned to online marketing, right?
Right.
Facebooks or Instagrams or whatever. But okay, cool. So you started kind of just building there, and I could attest to that as far as you being broke. I used to drive a little green beat up bucket, all around town. And then one day you just pulled up in the And it was it the BMW or the Audi first? I forgot. I was like, oh,
the
okay.
BMW, yeah.
BMW, yeah, BMW. And I was like, okay, you got some change now. So cool. So you described so far how you started kind of just, doing open houses, other people's listings, promoting. And that's one thing we all need to understand. We can promote other people's listings. It's not a big deal. It's on the MLS. You just grab that information, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, East Chula Vista, 400,000. Then you just put it on some type of medium, whether it's a bandit sign or Craigslist, and start generating leads. So, okay, so you're really busy with these leads that you're generating day in and day out. So at what point were you like, what year was it where you had like your breakout year where you actually said, oh shoot, like I'm actually doing something right. I went from 10 deals to 20 or 20 to 40. When was that?
Jeez. I'd say, man, like, I think 2011, that's when I realized I was making okay money. Bought my first house in 2011.
Got it.
So that's when I was comfortable with my business, enough to buy a house and, take on a mortgage.
Okay, cool. So 2011 was your breakout year. And then when did you say, hey, look it, I've been grinding enough, day to day, as far as open houses and just, being out there like that. And so at what point did you say, okay, I need to transition to past clients, or did that just happen organically? What happened there?
No, I actually, some of my mentors had told me early on, Leo, don't forget your past clients. Don't forget your past clients. And I'm like, what the hell for? They already bought a house. Like they can't help me. So I kept, hunting instead of farming, when I should have been, following up with my past clients. So I'd say I didn't consistently start following up with my past clients until about maybe 4 years ago. But I feel that if I would have done that better early on, if I really understood what my mentors were telling me early on, my business would be somewhere else right now. Not that it's in a bad place, but it's really important to focus on those past clients, even if it's, we send them out mailers now. Maybe early on when you start, you only have 1 or 2 or 3 past clients. Just write them a hand note like, hey, like, here's a Starbucks card, happy anniversary on the anniversary date, or even if you buy postcards like from Corfact, if you only buy 3 postcards, it costs you like $4 or even less. So just send those out every month. Start sending those out to your past clients. Add them to your social media. I mean, before we didn't have social media. Now you have social media. You can add them to your Instagram, Facebook, even LinkedIn. Just stay top of mind when it comes to real estate.
Okay, cool. And now most of the agents on here, newer agents trying to build their business, trying to figure it out. And, when we were talking the other day, you mentioned something about snake oil, right? Something about, different gurus or coaches or whatever are just selling snake oil to agents on there on how to build their business. So in your, if you were to coach somebody that wants a 6-figure book of business, and, 6 figures sounds like a lot, but in reality, what is it? 15, 20 deals in San Diego where you could keep maybe, 100,000 plus in your pocket. So right now, obviously, the world's different than when you and I started, but what would you recommend?
I'd recommend staying away from real estate systems or marketers that aren't proven. A lot of people are gonna, you'll get emails saying, "Oh, want to survive the pandemic? Buy these leads." What kind of leads are they? Where are they generated from? Can they tell you what the how many months it's going to take you to convert them, or are they ready to shop now? Sometimes I'll get a marketer telling me, hey, you're paying, $1,000 for 3 Zillow leads. Why don't you pay me $1,000 for 100 leads? And I'm like, well, what kind of leads are they? Are you just giving me phone numbers that you found in the phone book? Like what is it? And then once you realize what type of lead it is, teach yourself how to convert it, whether it's online leads or whether it's open house leads. Even if you're hosting open houses, if you don't know how to convert your own open house lead, then you're just wasting, 3 or 4 hours of your weekend. If you're not going to consistently follow up with that open house lead the way you're supposed to, take their emails, give them a call. If they requested properties, email them that same day. There's going to be another agent hosting open houses out there that's going to follow up with them, that's hustling, that's hungrier than you are, and they're going to get the business and you're not. So, if you're going to invest your time or your money in a system, know how to convert the leads in that system, and then stick to it. Because if you drop the ball, somebody else is going to pick it up and score.
Yeah, for sure. And, one thing during that time, 2011, 12, I think that's when they first started kind of selling online leads. I know I was a purchaser of online leads from different platforms out there. I was getting on a monthly basis over 300 leads, right? And that sounds really nice until you start to figure out that you got to convert them.
Right.
Now, in 2012, 2013, we were converting a very nice percentage of them just because it was so new. So you could just, not have the best systems in place and still fumble your way into, 25 face-to-face appointments on a monthly basis by purchasing online leads. And I know you were messing around with online leads too. So for somebody that's new and is thinking, oh man, this is like the golden nugget that nobody knows about, I'm going to buy some online leads. Do you recommend that first, or you might recommend that like, second or third or fourth or fifth on their list?
No, I'd recommend, online leads cost money. And if you can't, and they take time to convert. So if you don't have enough money to spend on, let's say the lead system costs $1,000 a month, and you're not going to convert that first lead until, 3 or 4 months from now. Just know that it's a long-term investment. Nothing is instant. You're not going to get an escrow next week. So if you don't have the money, don't invest in online leads. Do things that are free, or cheaper. Target your sphere of influence on Facebook. Target, if you have past clients, target them first. But don't spend your money on online leads. And then the first thing you should do before you spend your money on online leads is know how to convert them. And whoever's selling you the online leads should be able to teach you how to convert their leads. Because if they're able to teach you how to convert their leads, you're going to do well and you're going to spend more money.
True. Yeah. So let's talk about that conversion real quick, because I think that's super important. A lot of us waste our time at open houses, waste our times door knocking, doing all kinds of stuff. But we're not prepared. We don't know how to convert somebody from a conversation to a face-to-face meeting at our office, to a client, to an escrow, to a closing, right?
Right.
There's a lot of different ways. There's a lot through that process I just described. There's like 5 points where you have to convert to the next stage. I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but it was in 2000, I think it was 2010, 11. We were at the office in Bankers Hill. And I just had got off the phone with someone, and it was a buyer. I forgot if I booked the appointment or if I didn't book the appointment, but I remember you at that time were working with a lot of buyers. I had a bunch of short sale listings, and I turned to you and I go, hey, what script do you tell a buyer to get them to meet you face to face? And I remember you thought about it and you go, well, I tell them this, I tell them that, and it dawned on me right then and there that we didn't have a script, like an actual script, like meaning the same things that we say basically throughout the time, to every single prospect, because you and I, we have like a good mouthpiece, right? We could just, talk to someone and all of a sudden they're converted. But for new agents or experienced agents who don't have that same, God-given ability to just convert, do you recommend a script online that they could download or some simple questions that they could ask to convert?
If you go to Zillow.com, they'll give you everything you need to convert their leads for free, because they want you to spend money on their advertising. So they'll give you that up front for free. You just have to kind of search for it. just
So
online lead scripts, Zillow.
Zillow.com searched a script.
Yeah, search the script. They have all the scripts. Create your profile. It's free,
Okay.
and you'll get all of their coaching tools. I'm sure they even have webinars you can jump on, and it's all free. Why? Because they want you to spend your money on their leads. And if I can make a recommendation, if you do jump into online leads, Hatch Coaching, that's what it's called, Hatch Coaching. They have really good webinars or just videos that you can watch and listen to. And they'll teach you how to convert online leads really well. I make my team watch those videos at least once a year to kind of refresh scripts, kind of refresh the mindset of a buyer, and make sure that they stay on their A game.
Cool. And speaking of team, I know for many years you were doing a bunch of deals and you're by yourself, and then you hired your first assistant, Audrey, and then you hired, you made a couple more hires. So when did you hire your first assistant? Like, how many deals were you at? And then how did you build your team from there?
I hired my first assistant. I think I was right around maybe 25 deals. Mm-hmm. And I realized I just can't do all this paperwork myself. It's just too damn much. And I went to a Tom Ferry class, and he said, you should only be doing things that generate more business. I shouldn't be doing, wasting time on paperwork or, even scheduling my showings. My assistant can do all that. Even creating a flyer takes hours sometimes. At least me, it'll take hours. So those are all non-money making activities. So about 25 deals. I hired an assistant, probably underpaid them. But I taught them, and my first assistant actually became an agent. But they learned kind of just, listening to me on the phone, seeing what I did, interacting with clients, and I guess I trained them without even, trying to train them. They were just observing me and what I did in my business.
Yeah. So for a lot of agents, what I've noticed is they're hiring assistants right off the bat. They're building teams right off the bat, meaning, they don't even do 10 deals a year and they're hiring people. What do you think? Is it still the magic number, 25 deals, and then you hire someone, or what's your suggestion?
That's always a tough question, but I feel that number one, you have to have the money to be able to pay your assistant. You can't just run out of money one day and say, hey, I'm not going to pay you, and then you're going to lose your assistant real quick. So make sure that you're comfortable with the flow of your business. You're confident in the fact that you're going to be able to pay your assistant, and then also be ready to take on additional responsibilities once your assistant took over some of your responsibilities, like your files or your paperwork or your marketing. You're going to have to grind harder to be able to pay them, but you're also going to be able to expand your business. You're going to be able to make more calls. You're going to be able to host more open houses. You're going to be able to service your listings at a higher level if you have an assistant. But be ready to make that move, because you actually end up working harder, because you end up getting more business, because it frees up your time from the money making activities.
Right. So basically you're saying, hey, if you're going to hire someone, it's going to create a lot more responsibility for you, because it's going to create more business for you. So just be ready to grind harder, not less.
Right. Exactly. Oh yeah. You shouldn't hire an assistant to work less. You should hire an assistant because you're ready to work more.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. So the other thing is, with your business, it's always been, to me, like, I look at your business, and I always thought it was super, super simple. And the hardest things in life are to make things simple, right? Because a lot of people just make things overcomplicated. They seem fancy and this and that, but yours, from my perspective, have always just been like very simple, nothing fancy. So, what are you doing right now in 2020, right? Because there's like all this social media buzz, and, people are still, there's new things that come up every day. Just to make your business simple, like, where do you get most of your leads today from, most of your closings from? and also if you could just touch a little bit on how many hours you're working currently as well.
Sure. So I'd say 50% of our business is referrals, and the other 50%, well, I'd say not 50, but a good chunk of it comes from online marketing.
Okay.
And then everything, there's, you always do a couple things here and there, but 50% is referrals, and the rest is online, whether it be purchasing leads or whether it be, leads we get from social media. But one of the really important things that I've, thanks to social media, is that, you could reach out to a lot of people very easily. So I started, and this is all recent. You were way ahead of us when it comes to social media. We were far behind in the game. But we started creating videos, informational videos, not just videos of properties, but giving people information as to, what's going on in the market, buyer tips, seller tips. Make yourself the expert, the person that they come to when they need real estate advice. And I've noticed that that's really helped increase the referrals from our database, increase the referrals from people that just follow our page. Maybe they don't even own a house, but they refer somebody just because they watched your videos, and they're like, hey, I know a guy, I watch his videos, call him if you want to buy, or call him if you want to sell. So I think, agents really need to leverage these platforms in order to generate more business.
One thing I heard you say before was you have to lead with value. So,
oh yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. Just basically for new people to generate business, which I think you just mentioned, educate them. But then also for your current clients, like why do they hire you when they have 21,000 agents they could choose from?
I always felt that you need to provide value first and business comes second. So, I'll give you an example. A client had called me one time, and he was in escrow with another agent, and he said, you know what, I just need some advice. I'm thinking about canceling on this deal. This is the price. What do you think? And I said, it's taking too long. I'm like, well, you're getting a good deal. I think you should hang in there. It sounds like it was a short sale. It was a tough short sale, but I'm like, you're getting a good deal. Hang in there. That bank takes X amount of time. So it's not out of the question. Even if the house is a little bit beat up, who cares? You're getting a great deal. Okay, great. He ended up buying that short sale with that agent. Calls me years later, says, hey, Leo, do you remember me? You walked me off the ledge when I was buying that property. Now I need to sell it and I need to buy a bigger home. Helped him sell that condo that he purchased, and he bought a larger $600,000 home. But what I do, I provided value. I didn't say, hey, yeah, cancel on that deal and come work with me. I'll find you something else. I give him my honest opinion, provided value, give him some information about how short sales work, and he came back to me. Why? Because value first, and then the business comes second.
Yeah, I think a lot of agents would have said, would either try to steal them away, have them cancel, that way they could work with them. And then that's some agents. Some other agents probably would have just said, well, why are you wasting my time? Why am I going to take this guy's call? Why am I going to give him the time of day? But I think what you demonstrated was just the value of just giving, without expecting anything in return. Because I'm pretty sure the last thing you thought was, oh yeah, this guy's going to come back to me in the future and have me sell this place or
yeah, no way. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So I think that's important. I think in the real estate business, most agents get into it probably like you and I, we probably got into it because of the money,
Oh, yeah.
Being young, just like, shit, you can make $10,000 on a sale. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think that's why you and I got into the business, but then we learned through the years, it's, you, in order to last, you have to figure out what your values are. And, just watching your business over the years, your value is customer service, you know, and,
Yeah, number one.
number one. And it's just, like you just said, just giving back, leading with value, because, you know, you feel good whenever you hand the keys to someone. You know,
Right.
I mean, I've seen you interact with your clients, and that's one thing that I notice is that you really want to help them. So now, why do you think right now? I mean, the ratios have always been pretty much the same, right? Whoever gets their license before it expires, they don't renew it. So 80% of all agents fail, right? And then if you compare it to Small Business Administration, their stats are within the first 5 years, a small business will fail. 80% of those. And then out of the 20% that are left, they'll fail over the next 5 years, right? So in real estate, I mean, I don't know how many agents you and I have seen, because we worked at the same at the same office for over 10 years, right? How old were you, or what year did you jump in? When did we meet?
06.
Okay.
06.
So it was 06 when we met. So we worked at the same office for about 10 years, and you know what? There's like 150 agents when
Oh yeah.
we first
Tons.
joined, right?
Yeah.
And then when you know, during the bottom, I mean, how many? There's only like 7 of us in that
Oh
office,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Everybody left.
So
It was sad.
it went from 150 to like 7. So we've seen a lot of turnover, and new agents come and new agents go. So what do you think is the biggest reason why real estate agents fail?
You know, I think I've asked myself that question many times. I think it's consistency. Whatever you do, you have to be consistent about it. And if you fail, but you're doing you have a system in mind, and you just got to keep going, got to keep grinding. You know, even if you had a bad month or a bad quarter, hey, doesn't mean you're just going to quit. I mean, you can quit and go back to your day job, but chances are if you keep grinding and, you know, you keep holding those houses open and you keep calling those leads, you're going to succeed. Why? Because those are sound business practices, but you have to stay consistent. It's a mindset.
Yeah. So consistency is hard. So what, how does someone get consistent? Like, do they need to have a greater purpose than just, you know, sell another house, or what's going to get them out of bed? Because I'll tell you a funny story. You probably know about it. Or so this is a 06-ish, 07. And I remember there was like some agents that started working there at the Century 21 office that we were a part of. And the sales trainer at the office, you know, everybody would go to him whenever they had any issues or questions or wanting to figure out, you know, how to sell more homes. So one of the new agents that was there, newer agent, you know, he basically said, "Hey, look it, how do I get more deals? Because, you know, I'm not motivated, and, you know, I don't feel like coming in and making calls," or whatever, you know, whatever he was crying about, basically. And the sales trainer at our office, Century 21, told them, you're not feeling motivated. You know, you can't get out of bed. You can't, you know, come in. And he goes, no, I can't. So he goes, all right, what type of car do you drive? He's like, I drive a fucking Honda or whatever. And he goes, okay. He goes, what kind of car do you want? He goes, I want an Audi. Oh, you want an Audi? Okay, what type of Audi? He starts describing. He goes, all right, go get yourself that Audi right now. What? I can't afford that. He goes, exactly. He says, you get it. It's going to motivate you to go and sell more houses and pay the bill, right? So this fool went out and got himself an Audi. and then like within 6 months he had to get out of the business because he couldn't afford it, you know, so he had to go get a regular job. And then he got his house foreclosed on. It was
man.
But, you know, what I guess what he was looking for was the answer to how do I stay motivated and how do I stay consistent and come in and work. So what's your answer to that? And don't tell me go get yourself a brand new car.
Yeah, go get yourself a brand new car, Range Rover. No, you know, my motivation was I never wanted to be a failure.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I was an overachiever in a lot of things I did in life, and but I never wanted to fail. So in real estate was hard. And initially I thought I was failing at it, but everybody else was at the same time as well. It was just tough.
Was
So I
this
worked.
at your first office, or was this during
No,
21 time?
over at when we were Century 21,
Mhm.
and I said, shit, I'm failing at this. I've got to work harder so I can, actually I thought like I'm going to go back to school because I had dropped out of UCSD to do this. And then I thought, shit, I got to work harder so I can go back to school and get out of this damn business. That's the truth. And
I remember you studying in the office. You had your books and everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then and I started working harder so I can go back to school and afford my tuition again. And then I started making real money. And then one of my mentors, he's a lender, he said, Leo, I was like, oh, Anthony, I got to go back to school. He's like, Leo, why you go back to school? He's like, you're making as much money as a brain surgeon, man. And I'm like, oh shit, you're right. Like, I'm not going to go back to school. Like, this is it. This is it. So that initially that was my motivation. And then once I hit a certain level, I wanted to, maintain that lifestyle, maintain an assistant, be able to pay my mortgage, be able to buy another property. So I think over time, you might have certain goals, but those goals evolve into something else. So maybe your goal is to go back to school. And then once you hit that goal, maybe it's okay to change. Then your goal is to, hey, stay in this business and buy 2 properties, stay in this business and, be able to work half the year and vacation the rest. Whatever your goal is, I think creating goals is really important because if you don't hit those goals, you're going to continue to grind. But if you don't have a goal, maybe you have kids and you want to send them to go to a good school, or maybe you want to buy them a new bike, or just make sure that they have new things, nice things that you didn't have. Maybe that should be your goal. And if they don't have those nice things that you want them to have, then, hey, keep grinding.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Whatever your goal is, establish your goals and write them down. It's really important.
Yeah. So that's a good, I guess, that's a good way to stay motivated, right? Because if we achieve our goals, then we got to add a new one and a bigger one and a better one, or whatever's gonna, like you said, motivate you and just keep you consistent. So that's super important. And the other thing you mentioned was that it's okay if things change, and it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Where people don't always get that. So okay, cool. So the other thing is to get to where you're at, right? I mean, for everybody who heard the introduction, as far as like, the plight, that you had to get to where you're at. And most real estate agents, they get into business because they think, again, the money. They think it's, it's good money, obviously. They think it's easy. And they also get into it because they feel that it's, they're their own boss. They have freedom, all these fallacies that they believe in. So as a new agent, to establish themselves and establish a 6-figure business, how many hours do you think they should be putting into the business, and what type of work should they be doing during those hours?
So I don't feel it's so much so the hours. You should be putting at least 8 hours a day into your business. But then also know that your business is not just 9 to 5. Your business is after hours. I think that one thing that you had said before is 9 to 5 pays the bills. 5 to 7, is where you build your wealth, and also on the weekends. So just know that initially when you get in this business, it's going to be a 7-day grind. There's no days off. And if you take a day off, that means you're closing your doors. You're closing your store. And that day, if you had customers, they're not going to come in, and they're going to go to a different store and buy from there. So you initially, when you get in this business, it's a grind, 24/7, 365.
Got it. So
And
go ahead. Sorry.
no, and you have to understand that it's, I, my friends hanging out at the beach, doing whatever, and nope, I'm over here holding a house open, so just know, treat your business as a business.
Right. Yeah. I think that's important. So, so I know there's a lot of us on here that are kind of, may have some questions. Does anyone out there have a question for Leo in regards to his business, or maybe, you're at a crossroads in your business, have a question? You could go ahead and unmute yourself and then ask the question for Leo. In the meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and jump in. But I just want to say, man, is there's the things that I admire. You're a hustler. You're super humble. You can't tell by your demeanor and and all that. But I mean, this guy, we call him money bags, but he keeps it humble. One thing, one thing that I noticed about you is that you're very efficient, and therefore your profit margin is able to go up because of that. And the part of your business that I'm talking about is how fast you get buyers into escrow.
Right.
I think everybody right now needs to pay attention to this answer, because a lot of us fumble around with buyers for way too long, for weeks, for months at a time. And from what I've seen, any realtor ever, you're the most efficient with buyers because you get them into escrow fast. So tell us how you do that.
So the most important thing is to write down what you want buyers to do. So what do you do when you meet them? Are they approved? Are they not approved? If they're not approved, they go to talk to a lender. And once they talk to the lender and they're approved, then you get them shop. You establish a price point, you establish what they're looking for, and then you show them the property. So a lot of buyers will come to you and they'll say, Leo, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for $400,000, and I want a great school district, and I want it to be detached. And I'm like, oh shoot, that's not clicking. So they're telling me, and I'm listening. Are you approved? No. Okay, great. They get approved. And then they come back and, maybe they qualified for 500,000 and they still need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a good school district. So my mind already automatically, finds out what's important to you, a detached home or a good school district. And they'll say, screw my kids, I want a detached home. Okay, great. Let's take you to the hood and show you a home. But you really have to find out what they really want in a home initially, and then set their expectations. Because what I found initially early on was buyers were like, Leo, I want to see this house in Alcone. Leo, I want to see this house in Imperial Beach. Leo, I want to see this house in Escondido. And I'm like, those are completely different neighborhoods. What's really going on? So I came to find out that I really have to find out what that, their wants, their needs and their desires, and go for their needs, and then try to fit them in the little box that is their, what they could afford, what they're looking for, and their price point. So, but really, don't be afraid to tell a buyer, hey, you can't buy a house in La Jolla, you have to buy in Spring Valley. Like, say, that's what you can afford. Set their expectations, because if you set their expectations, it's going to be a lot smoother of a process. If you don't set their expectations, they're going to dictate the way you do your job, and it's going to waste a lot of your time.
All right, so I'm going to recap, and I think everybody needs to listen to these things that he said. So number one, you said that you listen when you first meet a buyer.
Right.
So we always have to listen, right? Number two, you say you have a process. So if they're not qualified, you get them qualified. Once they're qualified, then you meet with them. Once you meet with them, you set expectations. When you set expectations, then you go on steps, right? So the next thing I heard you say is set expectations. So it sounds like you spend more time up front setting the expectation, listening to them, really asking them, what's most important to them, and then saying, bingo, this $415,000 buyer knows exactly what they can buy and they're realistic about it. So now I'm going to go show you, these homes for
Right.
you to choose from. Now, that sounds like a tough conversation. Well, it sounds like up front you have to have some tough conversations. So how do you get over that? I mean, did that come naturally? Like you just cold-blooded, you don't care to have tough conversations with people? Or did you figure it out at the end, like sometime in your business where you're like, shit, I'm spending too much time with these people? Or how did that?
Yeah, no, that's what I realized. Even sometimes buyers will tell you, oh, I don't mind a fixer. But then when they saw the flipped home, they're like, oh, this is amazing. This is exactly what I've been looking for. So, you're the professional. You're the one that should know what's available in certain markets, what's available between certain price points. You should trust yourself to be able to educate and guide your clients in the right direction. If you're not, if you don't know about different neighborhoods, you should be attending the brokers open and checking out the neighborhoods and checking out what you can get within certain price points. And I think I got lucky because I used to do a lot of BPOs. So the bank sent me around all over town. So I got to know all these different neighborhoods and, kind of know the values and price points. So, but educate yourself on, different neighborhoods, different price points. That way you can, guide your clients in the right direction and give them more options.
Yeah. So I want to hit this point strong because it's very important to all of us, because if we mess around with a buyer for too long, they'll leave us.
Right.
Or they won't buy, or time kills all deals, right? That's one of my things I live by. So you mentioned trust yourself. Why? Because we're the experts. So this actually just happened to me right before this call. We were on a Zoom call with a new client. They're telling us what they want. And then the buyer says, hey, there's this website where military houses go up for sale on this website, military things. And he gives us the website. I punch it in real quick. And, one of us says, okay, I'm going to look into it. And I go, yeah, we'll look into it. And I go, no. And I just, hey, all the properties for sale are on the MLS. The MLS distributes to all these websites. So we're not going to mess around and go to an extra website or this or waste time. We're the experts. I'm telling you exactly, what it is and how it works. And then immediately like that, he goes, oh, okay. Where if we would have just played along, we would have wasted our time, his time, everyone's time to find out that it's just another website that extracts leads and sells them to someone else. And all the, when we know all along, all the properties are on one website, the MLS, right?
Right.
So that's trusting yourself. That's just like you're the expert and you got to set the expectations. Now, these tough conversations, do you ever lose a buyer because of it? Or is it pretty much like, they go, okay, yeah, you're right. And
9 times out of 10, they'll stick to us. Every once in a while, you'll get somebody that thinks they know everything and will try to do things their way. And they're going to waste a lot of time. And that's okay. If they want to go work with another realtor or waste somebody else's time, they probably would have sucked up a lot of your time where you could have been doing more deals, servicing clients that do have trust in you. And you don't want to work with those types of people. So if you have that conversation, or just like now, like you have to sign a COVID form. If somebody won't sign a COVID form because they don't want to and they need to in order to view a property, and then they're probably going to waste your time. So I actually like those COVID forms for that reason.
Yeah, that we know who's
serious enough to sign a form to want to view a property they want to buy. If you're not serious enough to, sign a form to buy a house, then, I don't want to work with you.
The last question on buyers that you work, do you have a set amount of houses you'll show them or set amount of time that you'll work with them before you just cut them off or have another conversation with them?
It hasn't really happened recently. But so I guess I don't have a certain, type of home that, there's some clients that are special. They're looking for a very specific type of property that doesn't come on the market all the time. Maybe they're looking for a property with a barn. How many properties are out there with a barn or something like that. So those clients do take a little longer, but for the most part, there is enough inventory for clients to find a home within 30 days.
All right, cool. 30 days. So you would say 30 days is a good amount to shoot for or less, right?
Oh yeah, I'd say
cool.
so.
All right, perfect. So Adrian asked, what calls do you do on a daily basis, or what's your schedule? What's your routine like on a daily basis?
So the calls that I make on a daily basis, we've been generating leads for a long time. There's a lot of people in our database, and we drip on them, and we call on all the leads or all the people in our database that are interacting with our websites. So every day, maybe 20 or 30 people have logged into my website that at some point communicated with me but not transacted. So I'll follow up with them like, hey, I noticed you've been browsing our website, noticed you've been looking at this property, or maybe they requested a showing request, and we follow up with those leads right away. But we find that especially when you're generating online leads, not all of them convert right away. But you also you spend money on that lead, so you don't want it to go by the wayside. So you have to incubate them, follow up with them, because they will eventually transact. But if you don't stay in front of them, they won't transact with you. They'll transact with somebody else.
Cool. So you're calling leads, you're following up with old leads. Anybody else that you're calling on a regular basis?
We get new leads every single day. So we always follow up with them. We follow up with our current buyers that already have approved. And, I try to check in with them at least maybe once a day, not definitely every other day, because you want to keep them warm. You want to keep them engaged. And then our sellers as well. We check in with them, give them feedback. That way with sellers, especially, it's important to stay in communication with them. So then that way, if you do need a price reduction, they're like, hey, Leo, you've been communicating with me, every week. I know that you've been working hard. I know you've been doing X amount of activities. And you know what? Yeah, I think that a $20,000 price reduction is justified based off, your communication. So, those are also important calls to be having. Even though you already had the business, you want to stay in touch with your clients to make sure that you're giving them good customer service.
Good. Yeah, I like that. So this is something that you're really good at. Claudia's asking, any tips on how to get a multi-counter offer accepted when you're representing the buyer? And I remember when, during this time that your business exploded, you were just telling me, man, it's so easy to get your offer accepted. And it was during the time that there was like multiple offers. And during that time, there was like 10, 20 offers on the property at a time. So what's your your answer there?
Well, initially the offer speaks for itself, right? Price, make sure you're competitive on price. If you're in a position to cut down your contingency periods, do that. But just know that you're going to have to trust your team. You're going to have to trust the lender you're working with to make sure that they're ready to order the appraisal on day one. You're going to have to trust that your home inspector is going to be available to do the inspection really quickly and turn around the report. So you have to make sure that you have a good support staff. You have to make sure that your assistant is ready to, receive and review those disclosures right away. Because if they're not, and you ask this buyer for your trust in shortening their contingency periods, it's gonna be a mess. So you have to make sure that your support team is ready to take on a quick escrow, and then also, but be prepared to have that tough conversation with the buyer and ask them to, write a high offer, maybe over list price with short contingencies, because they really don't have the power. They don't have the negotiating power. They don't have any leverage in that multiple counter situation. And then also communicate with the listing agents. Most agents want to work with somebody that communicates well. Why? Because if you don't communicate well, if you don't perform, they're going to look bad in their client's eyes. So if you're communicating with the listing agents, up front, but not obviously being overbearing, they might have put a little bit more weight on your offer.
Yeah, cool. That's some good advice. Cool. Any other questions before we end the conversation? You know, Leo, I mean, I took a bunch of notes. A lot of the stuff, you know, it just reminded me of certain things to do, and definitely, you know, always learning from you, man. So appreciate you jumping on. And before
You're
we hang up,
welcome.
does anyone
Anytime.
have any? Yeah, of course, of course. Anybody have any more questions? All right. So I think what we learned today is just like, hey, you could build as big of a business that you want in real estate, and you could have whatever income that you want. You know, brain surgeon income, but it doesn't happen overnight. You know, you got to grind, you got to work towards it, right?
Right.
And then, like in your case, it wasn't perfect. You know, you like you just said, you did BPOs. I mean, I'm sure you probably, you know, wasted a lot of time and money there, or you know, effort.
Oh yeah.
But it's not perfect, right? You just kind of fumble your way, try different things. But at the end of the day, we know that you have to make calls and place ads to generate leads, follow up with those leads, and then over time you could transition into sphere of influence and past clients.
Right.
And Claudia says, accept my offer when I submit it.
Send it over. I'm ready.
Hey, so and then the last thing is just to give you value. You know, any agents that are out there listening, if Leo writes an offer on your place or his team, or you know, just accept his offer. You know, that way we could he'll do a good job and close the deal, right?
Oh yeah, real quick.
Cool, man. All right. Well, hey, thanks again for joining. Thanks everybody who jumped on, and appreciate your time, man.
All right. Take care.
All right, man. See ya. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Voltaire.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping on, Bob. All right. See you guys next week. Take care. Bye.
Later, B.
All right, Art, man.
Bye.
See ya. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.
See ya. All right, Brian, man. Take care. Good seeing you again. Ozzy just showing up right now to the party.
No, come on. No, actually, my call was disconnected, so I just sure.
Ozzy showed up 2 minutes before it ended. Hey, thanks. Watch the replay.
Oh.
All right. All right. Peace out, guys. See ya.
Later, guys.